am originally from Westchester. I was born and raised in Westchester, went to high school there. I am the youngest of 3 children, mother, father, and my brother is 12 years older than me. My sister is 6 years older than me. So in a lot of ways, I was an only child, because when I came along, everybody else was at a different stage of life. So I had it pretty good. I was spoiled, to be frank. And my mother was a teacher, and she didn't go back to college until after she educated my brother. After he went to college, and they worked hard to put him through, she went back to school and became a teacher. The one thing I knew I did not want to do was be a teacher. My mother, my brother, and my sister were all teachers. I didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to go into the business world. At that time, I thought I wanted to be an accountant. A job came up with the Coatesville Area Partners for Progress that was a perfect match for me. It blended my experience in the corporate world with my experience with the nonprofit world. The first big corporate job I had was with IBM Corporation. And it was during the time, it was in the 60s, and it was during the times when they were trying very hard to bring blacks into the corporation. So it was a little bit of a, as you say, a journey coming into an organization as very often the only black in the room, and very often the only woman in the room. So that was interesting. I went to a training program in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was the only black in the class. And we went from a very lovely hotel to a training center. It was pretty much filled with IBM people. Both the hotel and the training center. And the group of gentlemen that were in that class isolated me. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't walk to class with me. They wouldn't eat dinner with me. They just ignored me. And I did better in that class than anybody else in the room. I got that from my mother. My mother would say, when you're in a setting where someone is trying to, as you put it, marginalize you, you just do better than everybody else in the room. And that's what I did. And before it was over, a few of them were talking to me, would walk with me, you know. They mellowed a little bit. But the instructor got tickled. He was really tickled to come into the classroom and say, you know that exam we took yesterday? Well, Regina Williams got the highest grade. And they would be like, oh my goodness. Wow. In the Chester County foster care system at that time, a disproportionate number of the children going into the system were from Coatesville. And they had talked to me, I kind of stumbled into this, and they had talked to me about how hard it was to find homes for black teenagers. Black young men, they had a hard time placing them. So that was one of the reasons that I got involved and took children into my home. I did end up taking sometimes boys, sometimes girls, not at the same time. But I mostly had teenagers. But at least one of the highlights of my career would be when I was working at Prudential. I did everything that I could to try to help the blacks coming into the corporation and really nurture them. And I had one young man that was in our management program, and we were introduced to a program that allowed us to go off our site and work with youngsters in like elementary school. And the idea was to go in and help young people that really needed assistance in the schools. And I sent a young man into a school in Philadelphia, and he came back, and he was very distraught. And he came to me and he said, I don't like this program. And I said, why? And he said, well, he said, I love the kid I'm working with. He's really great, but he's white. And I said, okay. And he said, well, I thought I was going to be working with black kids that needed assistance. And I said to him, think about this. You can make a huge difference in the community doing just what you're doing, because that little white boy is learning to have a relationship with you, a black man. And that's going to make a difference in his life. And he said, I never thought of that. And I said, well, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. And it's not always just the one way that we think of. And he stuck with that because he felt that he just, wasn't giving back enough. And I thought, no. This young man who probably rides through black neighborhoods with his parents, who lock the doors as they go through, is going to have a different perception about black people because you've worked with him. And I thought that was really neat that he came around and stuck with it. Rebecca Lukens was the first industrialist, woman industrialist, they say. I thought a lot about how her life compared to my life. And from what I read, I felt that she faced a lot of the challenges that I faced because she was a woman. Because who ever heard of a woman taking over a steel company? And she did it out of necessity. And I'm sure she faced a lot of challenges. I even came to the conclusion that some of the bankers that she had to work with may not have let her in their corporate conference room. She may not be at the table, but she needed the banks and the banks needed her. But she worked through that, and I felt that that was part of the reason that they selected me. I first want to say that I took it that award, though I received it, it has my name on it, but I took it to the office of the Newland Foundation because it's really the work of the Newland Foundation that they are pulling out. A gentleman from England, filthy rich, nice guy, I mean really down to earth, him and his wife. Neither of them went to college, but he had a horse farm in Newland Township. He would drive through Coatesville because he had an office a little bit west of Coatesville. And as he would drive through, he would see young men on the street. And he started asking questions. Why are these guys on the street? Why are they not working? Why are they not at college? This, that, and the other. And from what he figured out, him and his wife, though they were not college educated, they valued what college could do for people. So he set up a $7 million fund to give scholarships to students from Coatesville High, only Coatesville High. And he established a board to work on that, and they set up a program where they start working with the students after their 11th grade high school year. They work all the way through 12th grade and all 4 years of college, in addition to coaching and mentoring and helping the children select a school, get the financial aid they could get into school and be successful. They never let a student drop out because of money. When there's a gap, we write the check. Wow. It's a fun thing. There's only 5 of us on the board. For the first 2 years, he wasn't happy with the way things were going. And he started talking to people again about what can I do to improve this program. And a lot of people said to him, if you're doing anything with the youth in Coatesville, you really need to talk to Harry Lewis. He didn't know Harry from nowhere. He called Harry. Him and his wife came. They had coffee with us one Sunday morning, and he explained to us what his goal was with putting this together. And he explained to Harry that he wasn't happy with the way things were going with the foundation, and he asked Harry if he would serve on that board and help him rebuild that board. And I was a part of the discussion, and he looked at his wife and said, I think we got 2 for the price of 1. So we both joined the board, and I ended up being president of that board. But I'm so proud of it because over the last 10 years, we've given about $1.5 million in scholarship money to help kids stay in college. We have a staff of 3. They coach the kids all the way through. In their 12th grade year of high school, they go to weekly workshops. And we teach them everything they need to know about the aspects of going to college. How are you going to be successful? How are you going to select a college? We help them with the application process. And then again, they never drop out because they don't have the money. All they have to do is do their part, keep their grade at a certain level. And we found that kids have really blossomed. We do not take the cream of the crop students. We take the students who maybe have thought about going to college, but they don't really know how they would do it. They're not sure how to go about it. And we give them the opportunity to learn that they can do it. And it's really fun because you watch the kids just blossom. Now, after we were on the board and after we were working with students for about 4 years or so, a student said to us, "I'd like to go abroad and study." And we're like, "We're just trying to get you through college, you know." But we thought about that, and we had the student come in and make a presentation to the board about it. And we investigated the idea. I wrote a policy on how they would go about getting cleared to do it, how we would approve it. They have to stay on track with their degree. You know, it has to be a legitimate program, if you will. There's a lot of scams out there. And we had kids go to Spain, Japan, England. They've gone all over. And it really does open their eyes. It helps them see that there's a lot of world out there besides Coatesville, a lot of world out there beyond even their college campus. And it helps them a lot. A lot of our kids have gone on to get their graduate degrees. So I love that. I won't ever give that up. Yeah.
Regina Horton Lewis from the Coatesville Black Media Renaissance. We recognize you as a woman of excellence because of your outstanding, dedicated, and devoted service to our community. We wish to give this to you.
Wow.
And we thank you for being you.